So God had me clean up someone's throw up yesterday, all to further instill a lesson that he's been teaching me lately. Let's get right into it. So I'm walking Orion, and him and I are outside. Start over. So I'm walking Orion outside. He's peeing, pooping, doing what he does, as he should. And we pass this area. He's in the grass, blah, blah, blah. And then right there outside the apartment, in the walkway towards the steps, is throw up. And I see it, and I'm like, oh, like it's not, dry or anything like that. He's about to go lick it. So I'm like, ew, that's nasty. And I'm thinking it's dog throw up. That's why he's like going to go sniff it. But I'm like, dog or not, he's still going to go sniff that thing, right? So I go to him. I'm like, no. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, no, that's human throw up. I was like, ew. All I hear is, yep, and you're going to go clean it. Huh? Now, in the beginning of my walk with him, right, it would have been I'm cleaning what? Huh? You're not talking to me? I know you're not talking to me. That's how it would have been. It would have been like, you have the wrong guy, and you must, fully saved, this is on the process of sanctification, right? I'd have been like, you ain't talking to me. Quick context. I am a part-time germaphobe, okay? I'm not like excessive, like, germs, but I like my room clean. I don't like dirt. Not really a fan of dust. You know what I'm saying? Like when Orion's licking me, I got this right here. As soon as he's done licking me, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say part-time germaphobe. Okay. So normally we're talking like in let's say 2021. In 2021, he would have said that, and I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna pass. And he probably would have been like, why? And I'm like, because I don't feel like it. And then he would have been like, what if I didn't feel like dying for you? I'm like, wow. He's like, no. He's like, I'm just going off of your logic, okay? What if I didn't feel like dying for you? What if I didn't feel like paying for the spiritual penalty of all your sin? I'm like, bro, you play too much. And then I would reluctantly do whatever he's calling me to do, right? Nowadays, it's a bit different. Nowadays, it's like, okay, we're in 2023. That's 2021, right? Now it's like, okay, I may not understand it, but I trust you. I may be doing this the whole time I'm doing it, but I trust you. So we finish the walk. I go take Ryan inside. I go grab my water bottles, just ones that I've already drunken out of and I'm good. I plan to throw away. I fill it up in the kitchen sink, blah, blah. Cool. I fill up the water bottles. I grab like 2 towels. I don't have a plan, okay? I don't have a plan. All I know is that I am fin to clean up this throw up. So it's on the floor, right, outside, and I pour the water onto it. Let me just give you my plan. What I was hoping to do was that the water was going to like slush it into the street, and then I would just use a paper towel to wipe the remains. I don't know how old that throw up was. It wasn't like dried into the ground, so it wasn't like a day plus. It had to be like last night, but it was some hours because that thing was not coming out. And I'm like lightly like, you know what I'm saying? And it's basically like this water is not getting as much as I hoped. So I'm gonna need to really like try to, with this paper towel, like get in there, scrub in there. Either way, I get in there, scrub in there. It's coming out. It's much better than how it started, right? But it's not like, like it was before the throw up, right? So it's not miraculous, but a job is getting done. It's clear effort is there, right? Get to the point where I'm like, ugh. And I'm just doing it. And as I'm like, boom, throw away those paper towels in the trash. Went back upstairs, grabbed some more. Because I'm taking sheets. I'm not taking whole rolls, taking sheets. So grab some sheets, went, got some more, fill up the bottles with more water, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I'm going at it. And I'm like, okay. It's getting to a point where it's like third time, I'm like, all right, you know, throw up is already, it's wet. It soaks through the paper towel. It's already wet. Like some of it's getting on my finger. Now, keep in mind, I'm part-time germaphobe, right? I'm supposed to be like, but it's like the more as I'm doing it, it's just like, okay, the reality of the situation is it's just throw up. It's not like, throw up. It's like, it's just throw up. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's poison. Feel me? So the effects of it was lessening. And I remember I was just like, I have a feeling this doesn't have anything to do with throw up. But this is just like discernment, right? I'm like, I have a feeling this doesn't have anything to do with throw up. So I get inside. Now, context. Context. I hate my kitchen. I live with 3 different roommates. I hate my kitchen. Like I said, I'm a part-time germaphobe. The counters are sticky. There's roaches. Like it's a whole thing. Now it's not unlivable. Don't think the worst when I say these things. It's not unlivable, but it certainly is much better if I was in full dominion, right? Okay. As I'm filling up the water on the second try, the cap falls in to the drainage. So I'm like, woosah. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, my first thought is, I'm not getting that cap. I'm not getting that cap. No, it's not happening. Bro, it's not happening. We could just, I don't know, cause you know, the drainage, like, you gotta do the zzz, when you click the blah, what is it called? The drainage dispenser, blah, 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 whatever. But you know, you do the zzz, right? I'm like, okay, if that were to happen, it could probably just crush the plastic. It's just a cap, right? I'm coming up with all these other situations to compromise from just reaching in there and grabbing that cap. Because I'm a part-time germaphobe and that is disgusting and I hate my kitchen. Hate's a strong word. I tolerate my kitchen. I'm listening to my friend. I'll put her up right here. Boom. Her name is Haley. God uses her to speak to me a lot. And one of the things that he's been saying is, now that wasn't so scary, was it? That's the whole video. And it's been this series of all these things that dad has been calling me to do that I think are the worst thing in the world. Cleaning throw up, reaching in, like having conversations, things that I just think that scare me, have a lot of fear around them. And so I stay away from them. But in reality, once I do them, it's just like oh, well, that wasn't so bad. And so he's been saying through other situations, now that wasn't so scary, was it? Just trust me. And so I remember that video pops in my head. And he goes, that wasn't so scary, now was it? And I was just like, you know, the past couple of times I've done something, it hasn't been. So I'm like, okay, maybe the cap situation is it. Now keep in mind, I'm expecting that when I go down there, I'm gonna be touching all kinds of food, stuff for months, maybe find a roach. Like, I'm thinking the worst. I go down there, there's nothing. Somehow, there's nothing. I grab the cap, pull my hand up, clean. Surprisingly, somehow, and when I say miraculously, I mean miraculously. I pull it up, clean. I'm like, this was supposed to be a lot worse. And then it comes to me again. No, that wasn't so bad, was it? And I'm like, no, Dad, it wasn't. And so then I go and as I'm walking down, this is now my third attempt to clean and throw up. Fill up the bottle, clean and throw up. As I'm walking down, I'm like, this has nothing to do with clean and throw up, does it? Because if I wouldn't have obeyed you to come out here and clean this throw up, I would have never had this experience with the cap. I would have never had this moment where I have to trust you. Practically trust you. And he was like, no, kid, it wasn't. And I'm looking and the throw up is not coming out. Like, yes, effort has been put into it. The throw up's not coming out. And I was just like, this isn't about throw up. There's been a lot of things in my life that have been happening that have required trust. A lot of the times we think that it's a lot more comfortable in the boat. And that's what Satan is trying to convince us, that it's a lot more comfortable in the boat than it is to walk on the water. It's scary out on the water. And keep in mind, when we're talking about the story, the passage of Peter walking on the water, it's dark. I don't know if you've ever seen a lake or ocean at night. It's dark. You can't see your hand in front of your face.
Wait for it. This is what it looks like in the middle of the ocean at night.
When Peter is stepping out, he is stepping out into complete darkness, and he can see the silhouette of the light of Jesus. They thought it was a ghost, I'm sure. And he's like, come on out. Now, the temptation is that Satan will have us think that it is safer on the boat than it is out there on the water. But the truth of the matter is it is safer out there on the water because that's where Father is. So while we are about to make the decision to step out, Satan is going to come with all these other factors. It's dark out there. What if you fall? You don't want to drown, do you? I mean, what if that's not Jesus out there? Right? But the real thing, when Peter found his footing, it was like, this is not so scary. I have a club called Club 297. And basically it's based off of the verse 2 Corinthians 9:7. And it's something that Father led me to do, where it's just create an org full of individuals that pour into me financially. So it's like, hey, I need money for groceries. Well, that's actually where this is going, right? I don't like asking for help. Okay, I don't want to say that. Words are power, right? Let me say this instead. I have been through a very rigorous process of trusting Dad through the people that he's placed in my life, trusting them enough to ask for help. Very prideful, was very stubborn. We're new creations, right? But that's the thing. Because the connotation associated with asking for help is that it's always going to come and bite me in the butt, one way or another, no matter how you slice the pie. I did not believe, because of what I experienced, and yes, I'm leaning on my own understanding, but this is the case, right? I did not believe that I could be poured into without condition. Part of the thing I struggle with is believing that people would just give money to give money, not that there's something in it for them. You know what I'm saying? And basically he was like, he goes like, do you believe that I would give to you without condition? I was like, well, I mean, you died for me without condition. So yeah, I think that you would give me some money. He's like, okay, so why don't you think that my children would do the same? And I was just like, that conviction, it was very sour. You know the wine that he got when he was on the cross? That's what I was tasting. I was like, So I create the group. I have no groceries in the house. 4 days have passed. I am surviving off of French fries and bagels. And my next step, and the thing that he is leading me to do from the get, is text the group. Every person that's in this group is here for the sole purpose to give me money, right? But for 4 days, 96 hours, I am in disobedience and in pure stubbornness, not wanting to ask them. Not wanting to ask them for money, not wanting to, even though that's the sole reason that they're there, I refused. And the prideful will be humbled and the humble will be exalted. Let me just tell you something. Living off of French fries and bagels, it will humble you. It will. And it did. And it did. And so he's like, son, are you going to ask me or not? And I was like, man, these bagels getting real stale. So I text them and I asked the group and I'm like, hey, like I need money for groceries. And I tell you, within an hour later, I had $100 for groceries. I was only wanting 80. Within an hour later, I had $100 for groceries. And they're like, you deserve so much more than bagels and French fries, Ty. Like, 4 days, why didn't you hit us up earlier? You know what I'm saying? They're asking, like, why didn't you just tell us? Bro, I was scared. Frick. Like, that's my only answer. And it was just like, the moment I did it, the moment I received the money, Boom. And Dad is just like, that wasn't so scary, was it? And I was just like, no, Father, it wasn't. But man, it felt real. The fear felt real. I'm starting to understand that fear is just false evidence that appears real. I remember another one, I had to call my dad. My dad had asked me, my dad and I aren't on the best terms. And he basically texted me and asked me, he said, son, he goes, why don't you ever call me to check up on me or, find out how I'm doing or just tell me what's going on with you? And why is it that whenever I text you, you reply days later? Do you know what the answer to my question was? It's because part of me believes that you don't love me, Dad. You tolerate me. Yeah, sure, I'm your son until it's inconvenient for you to be my father. Then it's not so lovey-dovey now, is it? That's my answer. That's my genuine answer. That's the truth. I was so afraid to give that answer. One, because I knew I was hurt and I knew that the flesh would try to take it, manipulate it, and turn it into something else, right? Where that's not the truth. I'm focusing on something else that doesn't really matter. Blase, blase. It was something I was ducking. Answering his question, it was something I was ducking because I'm thinking of all the reasons he's asking me this question. He's asking this question because what? You know what I'm saying? I'm coming up with all these reasons. I'm basing all of these reasons of why not to answer the question on my own understanding, which is sin. But I'm just telling y'all what I'm doing, my thought process. And I remember I'm now talking to Juan about it because Juan is basically a voice of reason in my life. And he's like, well, why don't you just tell him the truth? And I was just like, why don't I? Fear. I was afraid I would tell him the truth and he would tell me, son, you're wrong, or that he wouldn't confess that that was the truth if it was, or that, if it wasn't, that he would just dismiss how I feel completely. Fear. I'm Nigerian. Nigerian parents don't give a rat's behind about how you feel. They just tell you what they think is the truth. At least that's how I grew up. Majority of the time, that's how it went down. The moment it didn't align with them or how they feel or their version of reality or blah, 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 then it was nonsense. Call literally the word it was called. It was described as nonsense, foolishness. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to have that discussion with him. It was easier to just not text him, not respond. As far as I was concerned, Father showed me that there were two realities. One, where I have a relationship with my father, or I've done the work to have a relationship with my father. Two, I just run and just live with the possibility of the fact that I could have had a relationship with him, or at least the satisfaction of knowing I did everything in my power on my end to make sure that we had a relationship. Whether it happens or not, it's up to him. But I did my part. I moved like Christ. The proposition was laid. Couldn't live that second reality. Just couldn't. Spirit of fear doesn't come from God. And after all these circumstances of things that looked really scary, but then when I did them, not so bad. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I sent him a text message. And the first thing that comes to my mind, oh, that wasn't so scary, was it? And I was like, no, it wasn't. My dad replied, wasn't what I expected. Progress was made, though. I have an inclination as to how my father feels about our relationship. I would have never known if I had not sent through that text message. So it's like all these things that I'm realizing Satan would have preferred I just stayed in the boat. So it dramatizes all these situations and why I shouldn't. In all actuality, the best thing for me in all of these situations, this entire video has been the common denominator trusting in Father, and moving in obedience. And the end result wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Yeah. Yeah. Next, I'll be calling him. Now the next thing, and the thing that's supposed to be the scariest, right, is I'm supposed to call him. Him and I are supposed to have a conversation about and lay it all out on the line. You know what I'm saying? How he feels about me, how I feel about him. Probably gonna be some things he doesn't want to hear, but I'm not gonna compromise the truth. I'm going to tell him the truth. I'm gonna give him the gift of my transparency and my vulnerability. I could be yelled at, I could be screamed at, I could be cussed at. I don't know. I don't really care. In my mind, it won't be as bad as I'm making it seem. Hasn't been these past 3, 4, 5 times. Why would it be now? Who knows? By the time you see this video, I might have already had the phone call. If I had, I'll put it in the comment section. Give you examples of trusting in him before and trusting in him presently right now. And if it's done, I'll tell you in the comment section. It'll be right there. It'll be like, I did it. You have my word. Do the thing that you've been called to do, that you've been running from. And I can guarantee you, you do it. Not as scary as you thought. I love you.